All right, welcome everybody. Welcome back. Today I thought that we would spend a little bit of time talking about Kylian Mbappe, the soccer guy that I've been really excited about. And before we get started on Mbappe and some of the opportunities that I think are there for us in the card world, let me just say that the audio sounds a little bit weird because we've been having some difficulties. So before I introduce my guest over here, which he has the good mics, he'll sound nice and crispy. Just wanted to let you guys know it sounds funny. I apologize. We'll fix it later. But I really wanted to get this out as soon as possible because I'm seeing Mbappe cards move real quick. Like literally today, his Topps Chrome is just flying off eBay. And yesterday, it was about the Prism and the stickers just flying. So we're seeing movements already where a PSA 10 Prism, which is consistently selling for about $520 to $550, a PSA 10 just base Prism Mbappe, we're seeing it sell for upwards towards $700 consistently, and this is maybe in a matter of 3 days. Primarily because Gary V put something big out there on Mbappe. He endorsed the sticker, which sort of created this rise in the tide, and all his cards are starting to move. So I really want to come out here and say, hey, if you like investing in cards, take a look at Mbappe now. Okay? It's really easy for me to say that knowing what I know, but for you guys not knowing what I know, that's why I want to drop this today, because this guy over here is my soccer guy. I wanted him to sort of explain on really one reason of why we're excited about Mbappe, and to jump right into it. Before we jump into it, let me just really introduce my man here. His name is Javin Teaches. We work together on a lot of different business ventures, to say the least. But today he's here representing the soccer side of cards of the best. And I wanted Javin to talk a little bit about it, but I also wanted him to show off a little bit. And being the humble guy that he is, I know it's hard, but Javin was ranked, what year was it?
I don't know, college, maybe like 3-4 years ago.
A couple years ago. But anyway, in college, when he was in Puget Sound, he was ranked in the top 150 of FIFA video game players, which is pretty much nuts as far as just being ranked anything in video games that high. That just goes to show that he was a bullpen pitcher in college. The bugger had plenty of time to practice. But what it also did is I think it taught him and it built an awareness of how soccer works, who's the players, not knowing that one day he would meet me and we were going to turn this into an investment. And so today I'd like to introduce Javin Teaches. And Javin, if you could tell us a little bit something about yourself and the top 150.
Yeah, I mean, it all happened because I actually never played soccer. Maybe, as little kids, 4 or 5 year old, just running around kicking the ball, but never competitively. And the moment that I actually got into soccer was when the 2014 World Cup came around. I was in college and I was actually staying with my brother in Washington because I was playing summer ball up there. And literally, I had nothing to watch but soccer. And from then on, I just absolutely loved the game. It was so entertaining for me to watch. It was kind of nonstop action. There's no commercial breaks, and I love that. Like, it's just nonstop, one half, second half, and it's good. So
what made you start in the video game, and how the heck did you get so good?
Started in the video game because it's a fun game to play when you're in college and you have roommates. It gets very competitive, and along with the World Cup, watching it, then we could go after the game, play the video game, and just start, having that trash talk with each other and house pride at that point.
Got it. That's awesome, man. So let's jump into it, okay? So we're stoked about Kylian Mbappe. To me, he looks like Spider-Man on the soccer field. He's just really entertaining and exciting. But in talking with you, Javin, you told me about the Champions Cup. And I kind of knew about it, but I kind of know that I don't know nothing about soccer. So can you briefly, generally, explain what the Champions Cup is all about in general? And then we'll kind of dive into it.
Yeah. So generally, Champions Cup, Champions League, interchangeable. But basically what it is, it's the top soccer teams or football teams, if you're in Europe, all across of Europe competing for this cup, which is essentially the Super Bowl of soccer.
So you got all of Europe only competing for
Only Europe.
Got it. So the MLS champion cannot jump in.
No.
So are all the teams in Europe invited?
No, only the top teams, and you have to qualify year to year based on how you do within your own country league, your domestic league, to qualify to get into Champions League.
So that means you gotta win it all. So like I gotta win my division or my league in order to qualify, and then so are there like 20 teams that qualify? How many teams qualify?
32 teams.
32 teams qualify for the Champions Cup?
Yes.
Wow, and then from there, what happens?
So from the 32 teams, they get split into groups, and they compete in each group. But from there, then it becomes knockout rounds. So a round of 16, 8, 4, and then the finals 2. So it's kind of how it goes.
Awesome. So for Mbappe today, what are they looking at? Because the Champions Cup or tournament or whatever you just called it, that's coming up in August, I think.
Yes.
From what I read. And can you explain sort of what the track or sort of what the angle is for Mbappe? And if you don't know, his team is called Paris Saint-Germain in English, but I think in France it's pronounced
Paris Saint-Germain, something like that. I don't have a French accent.
Paris Saint-Germain.
You got that? So anyway, like what's the angle? What's the angle? Because 32 teams, it doesn't sound like he's got that good of a chance, but why are we so excited about him?
So the unique thing about the way Champions League is set up compared to, say, when we get into March Madness, there's brackets, right? So you can kind of track your way through to the finals, see potentially what teams you're going to play. But in Champions League, as you advance through rounds, you don't really know for sure who you're going to play. The way they do it is they actually do a draw. So they put your teams in a bucket, and whatever ball gets pulled out is the team you're going to play.
With the first team or the first quarterfinal?
Real Madrid, Manchester City.
And it just so happened that last week when they did the draw for the quarterfinal and semifinals, that PSG actually has a relatively easier route than other teams involved.
So how many teams are in this draw as we speak?
Currently, there's only, we're in the quarterfinals, so there are 8 teams left.
So we went from 32 to 8 today.
Yes, this whole thing started back last August, September, but it got delayed because of COVID, and now we're here.
So before I started talking about soccer cards.
Yes.
Before we started doing cards and all that stuff. Got it. Okay, so this has been in the making. We're down to 8 teams, and you're saying that Paris Saint-Germain or Kylian Mbappe's team has a inside track or kind of a smoother route?
An easier track, like saying, let's go back to March Madness, saying, oh, I'm in the region with the weakest number 1 seed, as an example.
Got it. So they just got an easier draw.
Yes.
Okay, so what are can you name the other 7 teams with Paris Saint-Germain?
Yes. So with that draw, PSG in their side, their region, they have Atalanta from Italy, they have Leipzig from Germany, and they also have Atletico Madrid from Spain. So if they can beat Atalanta, they can play. Oh, sorry.
Did you say Atlanta? Like the Atlanta Falcons?
Kind of like it, but there's an extra A after the T. Yeah. Atalanta. So out of those teams, I'm not sure how many of you know who they are, which makes it kind of easier to say they have an easier schedule. Looking at the other region, the other bracket, you have teams like Real Madrid, Manchester City, Juventus, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Chelsea.
And they're supposed to be good, I guess?
They're the bigger name teams, the more star power. They have a lot of star power on that side.
Like who?
There's Ronaldo on that side. There's Messi. Who else do they got? They have Gareth Bale. They have like Aguero. Robert Lewandowski, for you soccer fans out there. Pulisic is in that region as too. So.
Cool. Okay, so we're saying that we like Mbappe's chance of potentially getting to the final.
Yes.
I mean, just because he doesn't have to play all those teams you mentioned and all those players.
Yes.
What I'm thinking is that it's like soccer, like we spoke before, and in prior conversations, he's like, like anything can happen. So even though somebody's a really big favorite, it sounds like soccer is kind of like baseball. It's one of those sports where you can beat yourself. or what? It's a low-scoring game, so it's sort of maybe just one little thing that happens wrong, you could lose 1-0, something like that. Whereas maybe unlike with football and basketball, you can just get physically dominated. So could you comment a little bit about how soccer and sort of the playing field is somewhat equalized, where no matter how nice Mbappe's track to potentially the championship game is, that even as a 2-1 favorite, he could still lose, right?
This is like the NFL playoffs, where each game is very important, and the teams you're going to be playing at, every single one of them is going to be extremely organized. And being extremely organized, just because you have better players, it's still hard to beat a well-written game plan. So that's what gives the underdog some chance, is that if they can get well organized and structure their team correctly, they can beat anyone on any given day.
Okay, so to me, I guess that's like a disclosure, right? So what we're saying here today is that Mbappe cards are going up. I think a big reason is because Gary Vee just came out on Saturday saying he can't stop buying the Mbappe sticker Holy Grail rookie card, in my opinion. He said he couldn't stop buying it, and I think what happened when he said that this past Saturday is that it sort of created this tide of demand that's lifting all the card boats, so to speak. So I wanted to put this out there really early, because if you're interested in card investing, or especially soccer, or Mbappe, who to me is the stud, then potentially you might want to look at something today or tomorrow very, very near and make a move. And what I wanted to also do is sort of piggyback the fact that there are 3 things that potentially could lead to even better card prices. Maybe a little easier draw for this Champions League, the Super Bowl of soccer, that's one. Then there's this thing called the transfer portal, where Mbappe potentially could find another soccer club, like a bigger name that could help the card. It would increase his popularity. And then the third thing coming in 2022 is the World Cup. And so I think leading up to that, there's obviously other tournaments and champions for him to win. But I wanted to cover those things and just kind of get us kick-started into this soccer. I have some friends out there that's been asking me for to put out some soccer information or just some content on it, and I thought I'd feature this guy over here to talk about the Champions Cup, I think they call it. And it starts next month?
I believe it's August 13th or 14th is the first game, and then it runs for the next 2 weeks, and we'll have a champion mid-August.
Hopefully it's Mbappe for my sake. And anyway, thank you guys for checking this out, and as always, cards are the best.